Ever since I was a little boy, coins have fascinated me. And years ago, when I discovered this particular coin, I was absolutely fascinated beyond belief. And this is the coin in question. They're called Cartwheel pennies and Cartwheel twopences. I've got a few other coins in here, and maybe we'll talk about those some other day. This, incidentally, is a little box that was left to me by my uncle, and what a nicely made little box it is. It's a silver top, and the close of this top is like an interference fit and shuts beautifully. Anyway, that's a little aside. I just like things that are lovely and that work well. So, in the meantime, here are these coins. Now, these two here are what you might call a twopence. So it's spelled 2 pence, and that's what it is, 2 pence. And these are pennies. When I say 2 pence, we're talking about the old English form of currency, pounds, shillings and pence. And it was in the mid-70s that was given up for a decimal system in the UK. But before that, a long-standing, should we say, form of currency was pounds, shillings and pence. And there was 12 pence, should we say 12 pennies in a shilling, and 20 shillings in a pound, 21 shillings in a guinea. So this was 1 penny. This was 2 penny, or as we describe it in the UK, twopence, or in an old-fashioned way, shall we say, we describe it as twopence. Anyway, to get on with it, these fascinated me because of their very size. I mean, this is a huge, great thing, an enormous coin. Look at the thickness of this. So let's deal with, should we say, one at a time. And let's, in fact, get a measurement on this. So let's put something up against the side so it blocks it. So we're talking in imperial, we're talking 1 and 5/8 inches, just about, a little bit under. And I think we're talking, this is very difficult to measure, but I think we're talking about, we're in 30 seconds of an inch, about 30 seconds of an inch, that one is. And, you know, this one is 1 3/8, not quite so thick. And these were minted in, as you can see, 1797. 1797. All of these coins were minted in that year. And there's a reason for that. In 1797, the government commissioned these coins to be minted in Soho in Birmingham with a certain way of minting the coins. It was an industrial way, a very precise way, and previously they'd been individually made with by stamping the coins. Now these were made in 1797 by a revolutionary sort of, should we say, a revolutionary way of producing coinage, which was by steam power. And they were steam powered presses, if you like. And because they had developed this new way of producing coins, it was very precise. So it did two things. Number one, what it allowed was mass production of coins. And number two, it made them very precise so that counterfeiting could be avoided. So 1797 will always appear on these Cartwheel pennies and twopences. And the reason why they're called a cartwheel is, in a way, for obvious reasons. This is big and heavy, and it has a raised rim, a little bit like, should we say, the metal tire on a cartwheel, or the wooden tire on a cartwheel. Each one of these is the same, as I say, all printed in the same. I say printed, sorry, they were minted. And they were in circulation, I believe, until about 1850 or 60. So they had a long life, and then something else came along in terms of lighter coins. I would imagine that if you had a number of these in your pocket or your purse, these were very heavy. At the time, the whole idea was that this coin here, the penny, weighed an ounce, and that was the cost or the value of copper at that time. An ounce of copper was a penny. 2 ounces of copper was twopence. And so, you know, this was a very logical way, shall we say, of using the materials that the coins were made out of, and to have a tangible, should we say, value to your coinage. A little bit like if you have silver coins and you hold that in your hand, you think, yeah, I have a value here. Now, just looking at this is the tail side of the coin, and you can see Britannia on it, which is should we say, a symbolic figure on British coins. And on the back, we have George III. King George is, I think they went King George I, second, third, and fourth, all in a row. Anyway, King George III was reigning at this time, 1797. This is in Latin here, and it says Georgius III, DG Rex. Now, DG Rex in Latin is De Gratia Rex, by the grace of God, King. So, nice bit of old school Latin going on there for the coinage. And I believe it's still, actually, there are Latin inscriptions on our coins. So, you see George the Third here. He's got a laurel leaf crowning his head. And then he has robes here, which are clearly seen. This is a very typical view of George III. Anybody who knows that king from paintings or whatever through history will see this classic nose that he had. This one is rather rubbed worn. This one is quite a little bit better defined, actually. So that's not too bad at all, that one. Now, going back to Britannia. I mean, Britannia, as I understand it, has been on British coins for a very long time. And Britannia was some sort of symbolic, should we say, representation of the British Isles, made up by the Romans. The Romans rather thought that this would symbolise the British Isles somewhat, with a woman figurehead, and it sort of stuck through the centuries and has become, as I say, this symbolic representation used on coins. It says Britannia, then it says the date. There's one or two other little bits and pieces I understand that are in this coin, but very difficult. The designer's mark, I believe, is somewhere in here. Tiny little K mark in there. So, yeah, I mean, if you're anything like me, what a fascination to have such an enormous coin. I mean, it's absolutely huge. 2 ounces, 1 ounce It's incredible. So these coins were famously produced in the Soho Mint in Birmingham. And Birmingham at that time, in the late 1700s, was one of the powerhouses, shall we say, of the Industrial Revolution in this country. Mainly because of steam power and what that was doing for industry. James Watt had famously started producing these steam engines where it was put to industrial use, and somebody called James Boulton was also involved, and it was their, should we say, steam-powered presses that were involved in the mass production of these coins. There was also a gun quarter in Birmingham because, if you've ever heard of the phrase lock, stock and barrel, rather than the various component parts all being shipped in from different counties of different cities, you would have all of the component parts in Birmingham, the lock, the stock and the barrel, all put together and made in Birmingham. So there was a gun quarter, there is a jewellery quarter to this day. So yeah, it was the epicenter of industry at that time. And so nowadays, this coin here, for instance, this twopence, I think I paid about 8 quid for this a couple of years ago. In a poor and rubbed condition, for instance, this one is rather poor and rubbed. This coin, I don't know, maybe could you get it for 30 quid? However, if you've got a very fine example, perhaps you could pay up to about 450 quid. So, yeah, a very interesting coin if you ask me. And I'm not so sure. I mean, coin collectors will know all about this coin. They'll know this coin inside out. And they'll know probably a lot more history than I know about it. But yeah, if you're anything like me, what a fascination. Big, thick, heavy coin, 2 ounces and 1 ounce. A good looking thing. And back in the day, value in your hand. And so there we are. That is the Cartwheel penny and Cartwheel twopence.